Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Dark Knight Discussion Podcast. I'm Joe, and today I'm here with my guest, 22 Tiger Dude. How you doing, man?
What's up, you guys? I'm doing very good, Joe. Thank you for having me here to do the Dark Knight. It was fun talking about Batman Begins, but now I'm ready to talk about the second installment.
All right, let's get to it. And let's hope that this conversation goes better than the last time. Yeah, if you were following us, you probably know how that turned out, but that's all I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I'm just, I had a lot of fun talking about Batman Begins last time. It was nice to go back and, see things upon retrospective, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And now we get to talk about one of the all-time greats, I personally think.
Yeah, I agree with you, honestly. I think it's, I know it's funny how are we going to say it right off the bat, but yeah, Dark Knight was awesome. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, I just got a little distracted here. I just got a couple notifications on my phone. Rachel, I don't know if she's probably watching this, or maybe it's one of my other fans. He's a big fan of Batman, as far as I can tell, but she just sent me a bunch of questions.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to those in a minute, but let's try to ease in on a little bit here. Batman Begins, as we all know, was a really big surprise. Maybe it wasn't as hugely big as this movie was. Wouldn't you agree?
I pretty much say yeah, because I say critically and financially, this movie pretty much went bigger.
Oh yeah, and there was a lot of anticipation going into this movie because of the Joker, with that tease at the end of the last one,
which was awesome.
Oh yeah, I'll look into it. Oh, by the way, look, rocking the shirt here.
Oh, sweet.
Thanks. I've had this since high school.
I actually have the Dark Knight Rises shirt that I got when I went to go see Dark Knight Rises. Hopefully I'll remember to wear that when we talk about that movie.
Oh, I got one that I bought at Hershey Park. I think it was a couple months ago. I live near Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and they had that shirt where he's just kind of standing and you see the debris and the bat symbol behind him.
Yeah.
Standing like this, and I just went, I have to have that shirt. I gotta have it. So. But yeah, this movie was probably the biggest out of all the three movies. Even though I think all three of them are equally good, this is probably the strongest one.
Yeah.
And when people announced, when Warner Brothers had announced that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, people went ballistic over this.
Yes, I remember that.
I don't remember the online reactions at the time because I wasn't really following. I mean, I was following the news, but I wasn't really into it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like, I wasn't like a huge follower, but it's like, it's basically like, for what I'm hearing about the people that surround you, you know how when you go to a store or when you go to the movies, you just hear like a bunch of conversations surrounding the movie. So that's how I would know about the buzz, because I would hear everyone say, "Oh my gosh, dude, this movie is like so good. Oh man, this movie is badass." Like, just all of the praise that this movie would be getting.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I forget how I found out about Heath Ledger, but I do remember seeing like a news headline of some kind. I can't remember what it was, but
right.
Man, it was just, I was surprised. I just kind of went, what? Heath Ledger from the Patriots is going to play the Joker? Are you kidding? That's awesome.
That is, and it was a different role for him, rest in peace. It's been like now 8 years since he passed away. But it's like, man, talk about going out on your career with a bang, to be honest.
Yeah, and it is sad what happened to him. It's really, really sad. But, he was arguably, I mean, if anything, he did go out on a high note. So we'll give him that.
And it's interesting because if he was still alive, imagine how much different The Dark Knight Rises probably would have been.
Probably, yeah. I think, unfortunately, his death really shifted things around. I don't know what exactly the plan was, but I do remember reading on the IMDb page, for frequently answered questions for The Dark Knight, that the whole plan was to save Harvey Dent from becoming Two-Face until the third movie.
Yeah.
which, I'm not sure if that would have been necessarily better than The Dark Knight Rises, but we'll get to that once we discuss The Dark Knight Rises. But
Sure.
I would say it would have been interesting to see how that would have turned out. But, considering the events, again, we'll discuss that later, but I think they devised the best scenario possible.
Yeah, I think they did what they could to kind of change plans around, because I'm sure they had their original plans. And after what happened, they're all like, okay, we have to change around the plans we originally were going to do, but they can't anymore because of what happened. But, like you said, we'll go into more Dark Knight Rises later. But it's like, I think for what they handled the Dark Knight Rises, they handled it the best they could. And I think, honestly, they accomplished what they did with that movie.
Exactly, yeah. And we have a comment here, a question from I Am Super Batman 1993, otherwise known as Callum. What's up, Callum?
So, Callum?
So he asks, what do you guys think of the current notion that this film has become one of those cool to hate films due to several factors, whether it's due to the success of the Avengers or how people didn't care for The Dark Knight Rises, which is a film I still think is awesome. And he goes on saying, oh yeah, well he's got a couple of questions here. We'll answer that question first. This movie has gotten a fair amount of hatred.
Is he just referring? Is he referring to that question like because the movie is so popular, there's some people that are just hating on it?
There's a couple of factors I would say. One obviously because we got Ben Affleck as Batman coming up soon,
right?
And I think there's a couple other factors too. I've heard people in the last few years since this release say the movie's overrated, and I just go, why do you think it's overrated? And I don't know their exact reasons, but I think they say that like Batman's not that interesting, or the Joker's just kind of like, nah, he's not the comic book Joker. Well,
yeah,
I don't know. The list goes on and on, but
yeah.
People.
If they have criticisms with the movie, like that's no problem. But it's like if they're just hating on it because it's getting great reviews, then that's a different story.
Sure, yeah, and Callum also asked about, said something about the Avengers, like it's like the polar opposite of the Dark Knight. Dark Knight's very dark and razor edge. The Avengers is colorful fun, like great superhero fun, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't really think it's a fair comparison, personally, because they're completely different.
The tones that both movies have are different.
Heroes.
Oh yeah, you're freezing a little bit, Joe.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Let's see. Yeah, I could still hear you. Okay. I could see you now. It's because you're just like freezing for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. What I was saying is that, I don't think it's fair because both movies have a different tone, like what you said, Avengers has a more fun vibe to it. Dark Knight, obviously, well, you could still have fun with the Dark Knight, but it's just that it has a more darker tone to it.
Yeah, it takes itself more seriously, but there are some moments in this movie that will let you know that, yes, this is a comic book movie and it is a little ridiculous. Some people have criticized it for taking itself too seriously. I don't agree with that at all.
I don't think it takes itself too seriously, honestly. And I think even when it does take itself seriously, you could still, I think it's because the matter of the storyline. Like you're so invested in the storyline and the events that are going on that even though it's serious, you can still, you could still have fun with it, but be truly invested in the characters and, just what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he said, like, what else did he say? The second question that Callum has is, what would you say is the most effective thematic element of this masterpiece of blockbuster entertainment? And I should tell you right off the bat, this guy's really loves this movie. What's the question? He said, most effective thematic element. Oh, well, that's a good question. There's a lot of themes running throughout this movie.
Oh,
Would you agree?
Yeah, the one that sticks out for me, honestly, is like, I know it's already weird to probably jump at the end of the movie already, but when he's on the run from all the policemen because they now see him as like the vigilante.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think another big thing is like society and how messed up it is. Like, I think we'll get more into that later. where
Yeah.
Joker says to Harvey, if I tell the press tomorrow that a gangbanger is going to get shot, or if a truckload of soldiers are going to get blown up, nobody's going to panic. But if I say that the mayor's going to die, everybody goes insane.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, it does speak for what happens in our society too. Because to some people, if one person dies, it's like no big deal to them. But it's like if someone big and important dies, and that's when everyone just kind of freaks out. So it does kind of match with what happens, for today.
Yeah, and there's also the approach that Batman has in his approach to crime.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's definitely a big thing, and we'll get as we go on, we'll get more into it. We just got another question from Callum, but since we're on that topic, and don't worry, Callum, we're not ignoring you. We're just trying to go through it as best as we can. So don't feel like we're excluding you or anything.
Nah, Joe's not like that, Callum. He's a very cool dude.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are you.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Anytime. So, and the thing
we're like talking about the Dark Knight, but we're like complimenting each other.
And let's see, when the trailers came out for this movie, I still remember, like, I was wondering what's this Joker going to be like. And
Right.
with the pictures, obviously, with just a still image, you just go, "That's the Joker, really?" Yes.
Because really, the only Joker we had in terms of live action is just Jack Nicholson's Joker from Batman.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated, but that was animated. But then you see this different take. And at first, I didn't really consider what the tone was that Nolan was going for, because looking at it in a retrospective, how would you buy who someone fell into a vat of chemicals would look in a realistic, grounded world? That wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I think it worked better with the war paint, approaching the scars in the form of a smile. In a realistic world, I think that made more sense.
Yeah, I really like the look that they went for him, because like you said, it's something realistic for our world. Like, it's something that would match with our world, honestly. But he still looks like the Joker, and it's a unique take for Heath Ledger at that time that he took to play the Joker.
Sure, yeah. And I really like how the movie opens also. I mean, it's a slow build-up. Like I said, I think we said this earlier, these movies don't have an opening title sequence like the Tim Burton films or even Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. They each have an opening sequence.
Yeah, they wait till the very end of the movie to show the title of their movies.
Yeah, and it's a slow build-up, and I still remember vividly in the theater on opening day. It's like they show this bluish hue of an explosion of smoke billowing up, and you see it in the form of a bat symbol coming towards the screen, and you hear that violin just go like that. Makes you go.
You already have shivers down your spine.
Yeah, it just makes you go, "Oh God, something's coming here." And then it shows a big skyscraper. The camera's moving in, and then you see these guys in clown masks doing these big moves over the streets. And then you see this guy standing on the corner of on a street corner, which obviously turns out to be the Joker, but you don't see his face. They get into the van. There's people coming from different angles. And just go, "Hey, why do they call him the Joker? I hear he wears makeup. Makeup? Scare people, war paint." And it kind of plays on you a little bit. It's like, what's going on here?
And I like how we got a little William Fichtner cameo in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any idea who you're stealing from? You and your friends are dead. It's a lot better than him and Ninja Turtles going, "Whoa, let me look at you."
Oh, man. You had to bring up Ninja Turtles with him.
I'm sorry. I just had to.
Not that I hate the movie, but when it came to William Fichtner, I was just going, "Oh my God."
I just killed myself thinking about that. Okay.
And the voice he uses too.
But anyway, see, this sequence I think is one of the best opening sequences ever put to film.
I agree.
Because it makes you, like I said, it makes you wonder what's going on here. What is this? And I actually looked it up. I mean, I remember them looking up headlines of them filming this sequence but it was at a post office in Chicago.
Yeah,
it was actually a post office in real life, and thought, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And they start killing each other off left and right. So they're like one less share.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it was, and I really loved how the movie opened, because that entire opening sequence basically just set up what your tone for the rest of the movie was going to be. Like, it was a really great setup.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one guy gets killed by William Fichtner, who's the bank manager, and turns out he's working for the mob, because when he says you and your friends are dead, that kind of tells you, oh, he's a bad guy. Sort of. And then, like, it's kind of, I guess they were trying to in, like, when the Joker in the clown mask gets up and shoots the bank manager, and the camera kind of zooms in on the guy on him, and you just kind of go, at first I guess some people just kind of didn't get it. They just went, what? But then I'm sure some people just went, that's the Joker, isn't it?
And then that's when he takes off the clown mask and reveals himself.
Oh yeah, it's such a great reveal when he does that, and like after all the guys are dead, and William Fichtner's going, what do you believe in? And he goes, I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. And that music cue, I literally just went like this the first time I saw it. I just went, oh my God, that is awesome.
Talk about a great reveal and a great use of the music. Like, that's the thing I always praise these films for, is just how they use their music for each of their scenes. Like, it just flows so well. And definitely in that opening, you know, the violin tune that was in the beginning, like, that was just screaming, wow, this guy means business.
Oh yeah, and that's a huge credit once again to Hans Zimmer, great composer.
Yeah. Definitely one of the best composers working today, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, by the way, Callum says, oh, I know Joe's a nice guy, or something like that. Thanks, Callum. And since we by the way, great way to open that movie. And Callum also asked, where's the question? What you say is the funniest moment of levity in the film? Mine is the pencil trick with the Joker. I should not be laughing, in a I should not be laughing sort of way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, oh yeah, I agree with that.
No, all I was going to say is that, yeah, every time I watch the movie and every time I see that pencil scene, even though I know it's not intended to make you laugh, you just can't help but laugh at it. I don't know if it's because of Heath Ledger's like intimidating performance as the Joker, and just how he slams that guy's head with the pencil. Like it's disturbing, but for some reason I can't help but laugh at it. I still question why I still laugh at that scene when that's not even Christopher Nolan's intention.
Well, mine, I think, is the we'll talk. Well, I mean, we'll mention this right now. Is the scene where he's in the hospital with Harvey and he just picks off that thing over his mouth or whatever that is, and he's got that stupid wig on, and he just sits there and he just goes, "Hi."
That was
first time I saw this in the theater. I just went like this, and the second time I saw it in the theater, I just went. It's priceless.
So you laughed even harder on your second time.
Yeah, because like it was unexpected the first time, and oh God. We'll talk about Heath Ledger later. I want to get more detail in his performance, like for last, if that makes any sense. I want to get some. Oh
yeah, definitely.
Because you want to save the best for last, of course. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So now I looked it up. The movie takes place a year after Batman Begins, if I'm not mistaken. I think it takes place a year later.
I think so. I don't know if the movie. I forgot if the movie addresses it, but I think it does take place a year. It should say somewhere like on IMDb or Wikipedia.
Yeah, something like that. And things seem to be going okay. Batman has managed to inspire other people like Harvey Dent and even the police to stand up to the mob, saying, "Screw you guys! We're not playing your game anymore. We're going to take our city back." Even though there's still some people out there that are not going down without a fight.
Yeah.
And Batman, I think Christian Bale once again continues to impress as Bruce Wayne, personally.
No, I think so too. And funny how you bring that up, because I don't know if you read this, but there was an article apparently that Christian Bale wasn't happy with how his performance as Batman has turned out.
I saw that, yeah, and but I hear that sometimes from actors. Like I heard that from Daniel Radcliffe when he was Harry Potter. He kind of is a little self-critical of his performance, I guess, and even Leonardo DiCaprio says he's embarrassed by his performance in Titanic. Actors kind of say that, but when I saw that and people were actually saying, Christian Bale sucks, blah blah blah, and I just go, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, like I know even someone said, well, at least the dude's honest. Finally, he admits it. Like I saw a comment that said that. It's their opinion and all, but I personally think that Christian Bale's being a little too hard on himself. I think he was great as both Bruce Wayne, like playing the persona of Bruce Wayne, but also playing Batman. I think he elevates playing both roles very well.
Exactly, yeah. And his back and forth between Alfred is still great. They still got some great lines. Did you get mauled by a tiger? It was a dog. Huh? It was a big dog. Why don't you hire them and take the weekends off?
Yeah, it's funny for him being a butler. There's you could see that Alfred is more than just a butler to Bruce. Obviously, he's like pretty much his own family.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he raised him since he was a kid, so it would make sense.
And I think that's what honestly makes their interaction just so great. It's the fact that they see each other more than just, oh, wait, you're the kid that I watched after your parents just died, and you're my butler. Like they clearly see each other more than just that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Let's see. I just lost my place for a second. Okay, we're back on the Q&A list. All right. So we got characters like Commissioner Gordon. He's back and he's still fighting crime.
Yeah,
I mean, he becomes commissioner in this movie, but not like maybe towards the middle of the movie. And then you got characters like Lucius Fox and Rachel Dawes, who is technically a new face in this one.
Yep. Maggie
Gyllenhaal. I have to admit, I don't know who's my favorite, whether it's Katie Holmes or Maggie Gyllenhaal. Some people hate Katie Holmes. I don't know if I'm the first to say this. I don't mind her, but in some ways I prefer Maggie Gyllenhaal also. It's kind of like tied, really.
Yeah, I like Katie Holmes personally. Like, I never did understand why she kind of gets a little too much flack. Like, I don't think she's the worst actress. I think she's actually the opposite. Oh. I think she's a really good actress. And, I know I told you this before we filmed, but it's like, even though I do feel like Maggie Gyllenhaal did a great job, like she did a really great job. Mm-hmm. I'm so used to seeing Katie Holmes as Rachel in Batman Begins that even though I still really like Maggie here, I can't help but miss Katie Holmes because how she portrayed Rachel Dawes and brought that character to life. I honestly thought she did a really great job fitting that character.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I said this before. It is a little jarring, or a little bit. Is jarring the right word? I guess I'll go with it.
Yeah, we could go. You could go with jarring. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, or it is a little bit awkward, I guess, noticing that it's two different actresses, even though it's supposed to be the same character. It's a little bit, wait a minute, why doesn't she look the same?
Yeah, even though I think they got Maggie Gyllenhaal because I think of all actresses, she's the closest to almost looking like Katie Holmes, even though you could still tell a difference between their faces.
Yeah, they do look similar in some ways, like with the brown hair and the, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, you're that makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, and I really like Maggie Gyllenhaal. I've seen her in a couple other things, like Day After Tomorrow, World Trade Center, and what's the other one? White House Down, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I think she's pretty good from what I've seen personally.
Oh yeah.
And we got characters like Harvey Dent. Aaron Eckhart is the actor's name. How do you feel about Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent?
I really liked him, honestly. I thought he was a very interesting character. He does become Two-Face later on in the movie. Mm-hmm. But I really liked how much he did care about Gotham and how much he wants to make sure the city is safe and all. Like, yeah. You could tell that he really did care. So I thought I really did care for him. It's like, even when he does become Two-Face later on, even though he has gone to the more dark side, you still can't help but feel for the guy because you can understand his motivation for pretty much going to the dark side. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are the best kinds of villains, where you don't condone what they're doing, but you get why they do what they do.
Yeah, and I think it was a nice, how do you say, I guess, transition, how he went from this guy that wanted to keep the city safe for having a burnt up face and just going in the wrong path.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's the best way to put it, yeah. And I think Aaron Eckhart, he was he hasn't really done like a whole lot of, I mean, he's done some stuff since then, but people kind of notice him like, oh, it's Harvey Dent or Two-Face from Dark Knight.
Yeah, like he hasn't, well, I guess the Olympus's Fallen movies are sort of popular because they're big successes, but he's been doing a lot of movies that don't do well, like this football movie called My All-American, which came out last year. Not a lot of people really knew about that. And I Frankenstein, that didn't really do well either. So it's like after The Dark Knight, he seems to be choosing roles, aside from the Olympus movies, that don't really get him up there.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. A similar thing happened with Tobey Maguire. Like, he kind of does smaller stuff now.
Yeah. Well, that and because Tobey Maguire pulls out a movie like every couple of years.
I think so, yeah. And he's also got a family, so I think it makes sense. You want to do small stuff.
Because I know before Pawn Sacrifice, his last film was apparently The Great Gatsby, and that came out in 2013.
Yeah. And let's see, Aaron. Okay, we'll discuss them like as we go on in the film. We'll discuss like how the characters transition, and also one thing that we didn't mention in our Batman Begins discussion was Christian Bale's Batman growl, because that's something that these movies get made fun of a lot for. That it's too over the top. It sounds like he's got throat cancer.
Yeah, I do see a lot of criticisms regarding him. But honestly, I'm not bothered by his voice, honestly. I think his voice serves a purpose to Batman. Like, he still sounds like Batman. He's not George Clooney's Batman, where George Clooney just uses his regular voice. Like, come on, George Clooney, if you're going to be Batman, at least try to do a Batman voice. Well, okay, I'm going off topic. But yeah, he sounds like Batman. That's my point.
Yes. And I think I do remember watching Batman Begins for the first time, and when he started doing that raspy voice, I kind of just went, why is he talking like that? But then as I saw the movie go on, I just went, actually, that makes sense. It makes sense because he's a public figure as Bruce Wayne. He's got a recognizable voice in Gotham anyway. People will know who he is. And he has to put on that disguise, essentially, where, like, I've heard people complain, like in Dark Knight Rises, when he looks away for a second and then he turns around and says, Catwoman's gone, and he goes, so that's what that feels like. And people are just wondering, why didn't he just say, so that's what that feels like? Well, somebody could have been nearby listening that he didn't know. They probably would have recognized his voice.
That's true.
He has to make sure that nobody can figure out who he is. He can't just take any risks, like, especially in the scene where he goes, in Dark Knight Rises, not everything, not yet. Somebody could have been listening that he didn't even know. They probably would have just went, he sounds like Bruce Wayne. I think he is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, so, and also, how intimidating would he be in that scene of the hockey pad scene, where if he just went, oh, well, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Not the same effect.
Nope. Honestly, it's all like, you could have whatever lines you want, but it's like, it's all a matter of how you deliver them. They can either make it or break it. Like, it's all like, if you say, it's like saying I'm wearing cowboy boots in a Western voice, it doesn't sound great. I'm like, hey, I'm wearing my cowboy boots. But if you say something like Batman going, I'm wearing cowboy boots, for some reason it sounds badass.
I'm not wearing hockey pads. It is funny, though, because the Batman copycat has actually got hockey vests on.
Yeah.
What did you think of that scene, like in the garage, when we see Scarecrow making a deal with the Russian mafia, and then you see a silhouette that looks like Batman, but then all of a sudden you see another silhouette. He picks up a gun, and I remember watching. I immediately just went, wait a minute, that's not Batman. What's going on here?
And you know what's so funny? Like, I didn't even realize this. Like, I actually forgot he was holding a gun. But it's funny because when Batman v Superman trailer released, everyone freaked out because Batman was wearing a gun. Yet a lot of people forget to realize he held the gun in The Dark Knight too.
Well, not Batman himself. It was the Batman copycat, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Batman copycat. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's okay. We'll probably get into that if we ever talk about Dawn of Justice. I'm just going to...
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just going to say we'll hold off judgment on the Batman rifle until we see the movie.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I know Batman's not Batman if he holds a gun, but I mean, come on, he still looks badass just holding the gun.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And you see, the thing with Bruce Wayne, he starts to see, like with Harvey Dent rising to power, like as a DA, that Bruce Wayne sees an opportunity to end his crusade as Batman. Which I do appreciate how they kept it grounded in a sense where we will discuss this in The Dark Knight Rises in more detail, but he realizes that he can't go on like this forever.
Yeah, because he wants to be with Rachel, but, you know, he's conflicted because he knows if he's Batman that he can't be with Rachel, even though he sees Harvey Dent as an opportunity to give up being Batman. Yeah, and
also, I think he can't be Batman in his 60s in the real world, let alone 50s or whatever. That would not... He wouldn't be physically fit up to it. If this was a comic book way of telling the story, I would sort of, you know, let it slide, but in a grounded, realistic take, I don't think so.
Yeah. Of course, you could get away with it with Adam West's Batman because that one's all about corny and campiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman. Sorry, I had to do that.
That's okay. And let's see, with Batman. Rachel had a question. She sent me through Messenger. Just give me a second here.
Through Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. She has a couple questions here. Do you think Dent's transformation is too abrupt? I wish we had more time with him and Rachel to feel more of that bond. Interesting question.
I don't think so, personally. I thought the movie had enough focus with Harvey Dent, like to show him the kind of man he is. And then, you know, what happened when he went to that building and he had fire in his face. You know, like, I feel like the movie had enough time to help him grow, for us to get to know about him, I should say, before that whole event happened. So I don't think it was abrupt. I think it happened at the right moment for me personally.
Sure. Yeah, you could argue, I guess, that it felt a little too quick, maybe given that Heath Ledger had passed away. And, you know, we see, like, I think it does feel a little bit noticeable, but I think at the same time, I don't feel it was abrupt because, in a realistic world, when he has that scarred up face like that,
yeah.
How long, I mean, if that's what they were going to go with, how long can you really last with a face like that without an infection killing you in the real world? It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I think the transition was done in a believable way because, how's it go? Like, he gets kidnapped by one of the cops that's working for Gordon because I think he's in the pocket of Sal Maroni, who's played by Eric Roberts. Believe it or not, Julia Roberts' brother.
Oh, really? He's related to Julia Roberts?
Yeah, I think they're siblings, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
Yeah, and by the way,
I wouldn't be surprised if he brags to his sister, going, "Look at me, Julia. I was in The Dark Knight. What were you in, Pretty Woman?"
oh yeah, that's good competition right there, Julia. Yeah, you look like what's he say? I thought the DA just played golf with the mayor, things like that. Tee off's 130. More than enough time to put you away for life, Sally. By the way, that was a great scene where that guy in the witness stand says, "It was me, counselor, not him. I'm the brains of the organization." It's like, mission to treat the witness as hostile. Granted. Hostile? I'll show you hostile. And the gun malfunctions and he grabs the gun and punches the guy right in the face.
You were just all like, "Whoa, that was unexpected," but it was unexpected in a very funny way, though.
Oh yeah. Then when you hear the judge go, "Get him out of here," but Your Honor, I'm not done. Like done with what? Questioning him or punching him?
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of that scene, it also leads into a conversation with him and Commissioner Gordon, and that scene, like where they discuss, how like with the warrants and stuff to get inside the banks to get the mob's money. The movie does a good job of setting up conflict between characters like Harvey and Commissioner Gordon, because Harvey keeps telling him, Gordon, you can't trust the people in your squad. They could be working for the mob still. I mean, you may have Batman to take out some of the mob, but you still can't trust some people. And Gordon's like, no. I'm sure we got it. I can trust. I got to do what I can with what I have. It's like Gordon's in denial, I guess.
Yeah. And it is true because, what we were referring to earlier about society, even cops, there could even some cops out there that you can't even trust, not all of them, but, some cops, they can be corrupt and do things they think are right, but they end up being the other way around. So I think the movie does a kind of good job of transitioning from what we see in the movie to what happens in reality.
I agree. Yeah. And what's the other thing? With Harvey Dent, we also got Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman. He's really good too.
Morgan Freeman.
The sisters never laid a hand on Bruce Wayne after that day.
After Bruce Wayne left, I had to go grab some chicken pot pie and eat some deliciousness from there.
Okay. That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you. It literally just came straight from my head.
And then there's like, the back and forth between those two is also really done well here. And especially when he's showing those gauntlets, I guess, for Batman, like for his arm. Like,
the ones that they have around his arms, right?
Yeah, around his wrists or something like that, which obviously is it's obviously part of his his League of Shadows League of Shadows costume, where it's like a tribute to he's not forgetting where he came from, I guess.
Yeah.
And I love how they just he pushes something, they just go and Morgan Freeman goes, perhaps you should read the instructions first. Yeah.
That was great.
And a little reference right there, how would it hold up against dogs? You talking Rottweilers or Chihuahuas? Should do fine against cats. Catwoman.
Yeah, that was actually really cool too, because we got to see her in Rises, so I thought that was actually a nice little nod to that.
Yeah, it's stretching a little bit if you say, "Oh, it's set up Catwoman." Well, that's a little reference. They didn't know if they were bringing Catwoman.
Yeah, not like a setup, but it was a nice little nod to the character. Like, I think a little something for the comic book fans.
Exactly. Yeah, and then it goes into the scene. Well, actually, we'll save the action for a little later. But since we talked about Rachel, Gordon, and those other players, let's get to the big guy, shall we? The Joker, Heath Ledger. Dear Lord, my God, was he amazing!
Like, wow. Like even I don't know what to say right now. So because it's just one of those performances that it hits you that even on rewatch you when the movie ends you're just like, whew, I need to process that. Like,
yeah, exactly. And you know it, and I noticed it. I think I noticed it a few times since I've watched it over the years. When you're first introduced to him in the bank, there's a long stretch. There's a good stretch where you don't see him for like maybe a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you finally meet him in the kitchen where Mr. Lau, Calculations, is talking to the mob about their money. And then Gordon finds out that the vaults are empty and you just go, oh, damn it. And then you hear the Joker just go, ah. And I still remember I'm sitting there just watching the movie. The first time when I heard that laugh, I just went like this. Oh my God, this is going to be good. And then the pencil trick. The pencil trick happens. And people were laughing in the theater. Me, when that happened, I literally just went like this. What? What?
So, see, I knew I wasn't the only person that was laughing at that scene.
But I was just floored when he did that. I mean, it was so unexpected. I just went, "What the heck? Did he just do that?"
But the scene that gave me the major chills, like major chills, is when he has his whole line about his father and what his father would tell him, the whole why so serious thing. Like, that's where I went, holy shit, we're in for one hell of a movie.
Oh yeah, and that was a great scene too. And also, it's also the actor that plays Gamble, Michael Jai White from Arrow. He played the Bronze Tiger, whatever that was.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was from Arrow.
Yeah, how interesting. And also, Mr. Lau was in Arrow too. He was guy's got the worst luck. He gets killed by the Joker. He gets killed by Malcolm Merlyn. He gets killed by Alexander Pierce. Guy got the worst luck.
I know, like he. Like, probably not his worst look as Sean Bean, but, you know, his look is still bad. Sean Bean is all like, he dies so much in his movies to a point where every time he has a new movie come out, we're going to be all like, is he going to
die? Yeah. It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio syndrome. He dies in a lot of his movies, too, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's something else about Leo? I know we're going off topic. But I noticed in almost every movie, I noticed this thing where Leo has to hold some kind of glass in nearly every movie he's in.
I never thought of that. I'm gonna have to watch some of his movies again now that you brought that up.
Little fun fact for those.
Good. See, where were we? Oh yeah, you know how I got these scars, and you know the first time when you hear him talk about like the stuff with his dad. I get chills. It's just like the way he delivers his lines. You just go, like when he sticks the blade right in the guy's face. I just kind of went, "Oh man, what am I gonna see?"
Man, this may be a PG-13 movie, but it does go. It kind of goes hardcore for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, they do push the limits a little bit in this one.
Oh yeah.
And then later, like, it's just a little small moment after he delivers the line, like, "Why so serious?" And he kills Gamble, I guess, like by slicing his cheek open. Ugh. And he pulls the garbage bag off of his body and just goes, "Now." It's like, well, okay, what's next? Like,
and everyone's just sitting there going, it's just either standing or sitting there going. Like they just don't know what to say.
I know, yeah. And then comes the scene later on in the movie when they're at Bruce Wayne's apartment or his penthouse, and he's looking for Harvey, and Bruce Wayne has already hid him in a safe spot. And then he sees Rachel, and he's like, "Oh, is it the scars? I don't know how I got him." And at first viewing, I just kind of went, "Are you going to tell the same story again?" And then he just gets right in their face, and you just go, "Oh, got it." But then he starts saying, "So I had a wife, beautiful like you." And when he said that, I just went, "Huh? Oh my, like what?" And the whole time, I'm just sitting there like this. Is he really saying this?
Yeah, and that's clever too. I was worried, like you, that he was just gonna say the same thing because, like, first time you're like, "That's cool," but then second times I'm like, "Eh," and then more times I'm like just overdoing it. But the fact that he switched it up to the "my wife" part, that's all I'm all like, okay, wow, they managed to change it up and still make it so, eerie, like still spine tingling. You know?
Yeah. And I think it goes back to a quote that I think the Joker said at some point in the comics. I don't know, but he says, like, "If I'm going to have a life, I might as well have it multiple choice," or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And I think in the Arkham Asylum game, there's like little extras where you can hear interview tapes of the Joker. And he says, like, "My father was a fisherman, and he worked on the docks. I don't believe you. I worked in a circus when I was a boy, and I did this, and I did." Nope, I saw the movie. Tell me the truth.
Basically, you don't know what to believe that comes out of that clown's mouth. Exactly.
I think it's because in all versions he he's so traumatized by what happened to him that he probably doesn't even know what the heck happened to him. Something happened to him, but we don't know what.
I mean, dude, for him to turn to someone like that vicious and that haunting, like, sheesh, you must have one, excuse me, fucked up childhood.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially the scars. Like at the time when I was watching it, like when I watched it on DVD multiple times, when he just like if we don't deal with this now, soon, and he just goes like the way his scars line up, I just go, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Especially when he goes, I stick a razor in my mouth and do this. I just go, oh God, don't do that, man. It's creepy.
And of course, he has that thing where he does stick his tongue out, like, so. Like, that's very cool on Heath Ledger's part. I'm not gonna lie, have a drinking game for every time he does the licking thing. Like, credit Heath Ledger. I think that's an interesting little detail that he did. Like I don't know if it was in the script. I'm pretty sure it had to be in the script, but I don't know why. Heath Ledger doing the Joker tongue is kind of impressive to me for some reason. I have no idea why.
Yeah, and I also read that he really committed to this character. He spent like a month in a hotel room reading the comic books for the Joker, or like anything that had the Joker in it, and he wrote down like a diary, like the Joker's thoughts. And,
so,
like,
he did a lot of studying with the comic books?
Yeah, I think he read like The Killing Joke or something or other. I can't remember for sure. But he spent like a whole month in a hotel writing a journal of the Joker's thoughts. And I've always wondered what was going through his head during that time when he was doing that.
Like, man, it's no wonder his performance is so great. I think he studied who the character was. He studied, obviously, his mannerisms, his lines, his overall, I guess you could say, kind of wacky personality in a way. Like, you could tell he really observed all of that. And look how Heath Ledger turned out. Like, wow. It's probably no wonder why.
Yeah, and this obviously is the Chris Nolan's version of the Joker, because it has to fit into this world. And the way he described it before he died, he described it in an interview with New York Times or something like that.
Right.
A paranoid schizophrenic clown with zero empathy or something like that. Zero empathy. Just that says it all. He just doesn't care about anybody.
Yeah, and it clearly shows in this movie.
He doesn't even care about himself. Like when Batman throws him off that building, he's just laughing. He's not going, ah! He's just laughing.
I'm sure even when, like, Batman could have not saved him, but it's all like, even if the Joker died, I'm sure he really wouldn't care.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, there's
He'll
so
probably
many...
be all like, oh, I'm in hell? Okay, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the scene. What else can we talk about with Heath Ledger? There's so many great scenes. There's the stuff that he does with the camera when he announces that he's going to kill people every day if Batman doesn't turn himself in.
Yeah.
Like by the way, the lead into that scene where the mayor's talking to Harvey Dent, and they talk about, like, you know, what's going to happen, and that Batman guy, the copycat, just appears right in front of the window. I just jumped and go, oh my God. Oh.
Oh man.
And there's a line, there's a card, like a playing card stuck on that guy's body. It says, will the real Batman please stand up?
Oh yeah.
Which is obviously a response to Batman's actions in Hong Kong, taking Mr. Lau, since he was the money man. And the mob's like, oh shoot. He's got our mob guy, the cops are coming. We're desperate. We got to get the Joker out of the cage. Let him loose, you know, and not fully realizing what he's capable of.
Yep, which was not the smartest decision.
Yeah, even though Maroni is a little bit hesitant to let him out. Like when that Russian says, we hired the clown, he was right. And Maroni just goes, what? Are you crazy? You don't know what that guy can do.
Well, clearly we saw it when, you know, he was just creating all the chaos in Gotham City.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Oh, okay. Just lost my place for a second. Oh, hold on a minute. Bear with me, guys. Let's see.
No problem, man. No problem.
Oh, thank you. Let's see, the Joker. Okay, and the stuff that like him holding the camera, like filming the guy in that room wherever that was, and
the interrogation scene, right?
yeah, we'll get to the interrogation scene in a minute, but I'm talking about the scenes like where he filmed somebody talking to the camera, and the Joker,
yes.
The Joker was holding the camera, and I read that Heath Ledger actually did that all himself. Chris Nolan just said, "It's your ball in this scene. You run with it," and it's like he just went, "Okay."
You could tell he went all out, obviously.
Yeah, and it gives me chills every time I watch this part. It's like when it's right where he's going, "Want order in Gotham? Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in. And every day he doesn't, people will die." And he goes, "I'm a man of my word." And then he laughs. I shiver like crazy when he laughs. It's terrifying.
Yeah. And it almost feels like a horror movie at times whenever he shows up, honestly.
Yeah, it's got a haunting quality to it. Maybe some people will complain about the way his laugh sounds or something, and just go, "What's the big deal?" It's not Mark Hamill, but it's his own thing.
Yeah, you don't always have to be like exactly of who that other person portrays. Like what you said, Mark Hamill. Like it's like, even say for example, Jared Leto. I'm sure his Joker laugh's going to be different from what Ledger and Nicholson brought with their portrayal of Joker.
Yeah. And let's see, the Joker. Yeah, and then it leads into the themes that this movie plays on. Like he causes so much chaos in the city that people are starting to turn against Batman, saying, "Turn yourself in. You brought this mess on us. It's your fault. You turn yourself in." And admittedly, when I watch that, I understand their point, but at the same time, it's just like, how can you people be so ungrateful? How do you know that this guy is actually going to do what he says and stop killing people? This is the Joker. You can't trust this guy.
I never understood that too. It's all like, you're really gonna turn on Batman, like after everything he's done for them, like trying to protect them. That's pretty much the things that Batman gets.
Yeah, even though he does he does take the law into his own hands, which I guess it's not a good thing to do. But in a time like Gotham, where the criminal element was running so rampant in the city, how else were you going to approach the crime problem, really? I mean, could you blame Wayne for taking those measures?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't. But, in the scene where it shows in a couple scenes, like during the the crime scene where Bruce Wayne or Batman shows up and he takes that piece of brick of the bullet and everything. He says, like, "Give me 10 minutes with the scene before you're meant contaminated." And that cop Ramirez said, like, "Us contaminated? It's your fault these guys are in here." And Gordon's like, "Ramirez, don't."
Oh, yeah.
And then there's scenes like at the press conference scene where Harvey's trying to say, "Look, we can't trust this. We can't be sure that the Joker's going to keep his word if the Batman turns himself in." And then there's another scene where when Gordon supposedly gets killed at that ceremony scene, Gordon's wife is informed by the cops, and she starts screaming at Batman, "You brought this craziness on us. You did." And then even Maroni says, "You got to let a couple more people get killed while you make up your mind." You feel the pressure that's pummeling down on Bruce Wayne's shoulders.
Oh, shoot, man, definitely.
It does. I think it takes it even more extreme in The Dark Knight Rises, which we'll get to later. But it's similar to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, where you got to keep beating on this guy. You just got to keep pounding him to the ground. And you feel it's boiling down on Bruce Wayne. He doesn't know how to approach this, and he's so desperate that he just says, "Screw it. They're right. I can't endure this anymore." But even Alfred says, "Master Wayne, don't do it. You do this, it's not going to make it any better. It's just going to make it worse."
Yeah.
And let's see. That scene. I think we pretty much covered it. And by the way, that scene where he interrogates Maroni from the catwalk. Oh man, when he drops him and you hear the breaking of his legs. Ugh, man.
Oh man, that was just yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Oh yeah, another question. I forgot to bring this up. Another question that let's see here. Oh yeah, Rachel sent me this question in Facebook Messenger. Rachel, if you're still watching this, thanks for watching. For some reason, we're not getting questions from the Q&A on the Google Hangout, but we got questions regardless, like from other ways, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The Joker she says, the Joker is such a strong character with an amazing performance. How do you think Bruce Wayne and Batman shines in this movie? And this brings us into a topic that I've heard people talk about a few times, like the Joker. This is about the Joker. Everything else is just blah or something like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like, I think that it's obvious the Joker steals the show here, but do you think everything else is a bit in comparison to him?
No, I don't think so, honestly, because yeah, sure, the Joker is awesome and all, but I think even storyline wise, execution wise, and action wise, I think the movie really does take the atmosphere to the next level. So honestly, I don't feel that way personally. I feel like storyline and all that is just as strong as when it comes to the Joker.
Yeah, and because they have stuff like trying to stop the mob, and because that's other stuff that they got to focus on. Keep more interesting stuff happening, like Batman and Gordon and Harvey teaming up together to fight the mob. And some people, I think even Jeremy Johns pointed this out in his review of The Dark Knight a couple years ago. People who complains like, what is this, a cop show? Where are the supervillains? Well, honestly speaking, you don't really focus on the supervillains at this point. You take out the mob. They're like the front line of defense here.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. And, this does feel like a lot of times like a crime drama. I think this is the most crime drama inspired movie in the entire trilogy.
Yeah, I think so, because it's not just a superhero movie, but you could definitely tell there are crime elements in this film that I think honestly does work, because they have to go after the Joker. There's a case they have to solve, so I think that blends all well for The Dark Knight.
Exactly, yeah. And that's another thing that I bring up is Batman's detective skills and how they're portrayed in this movie. Some people are going to have complained. I'm pretty sure that they have, since we got Ben Affleck coming up, that Batman doesn't feel like a detective. He's just too much like a ninja. I disagree. I think his detective skills really show in all three movies. It may not be as obvious, like visually prove how detective skills, how much detective skills he has, but this is the best example of the showcase of his detective skills.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
With him trying to figure out the fingerprint, who it belongs to, like with the Joker on that bullet, and they just go poof, 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 and Alfred just goes, "I'm not sure you made it loud enough, sir."
Yeah, exactly. He's still being Batman, but he still has to solve some cases of what he sees, like what you said with the fingerprint and all that.
Yeah, and detectives don't always know everything. The reason why they do detective work is they have to look at the evidence, look it over, play it out, and see how it goes. They can't just figure out instantaneously just by looking at stuff. They have to analyze the crime scene. They're not know-it-alls, except for Sherlock Holmes. Just looking at somebody, he could probably tell what a person's like, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah.
And then let's see. Yeah, since we brought up characters and the themes and everything, and let's talk. Let's see. We're going to talk about the action. Probably, let's get that right now. The action, I think, is a big improvement as far as the camera work goes. I mentioned this last time with the camera work in the fight scenes.
Yeah,
it's better in this movie. It's not a big problem in Batman Begins, but it was a little too quick cut, I would say.
Yeah, to you, it just had too many cuts, right?
Yeah. This one, it's more like a wide shot, like in the Hong Kong sequence where Batman flies into that office building and he starts beating all the thugs up, and the camera's zooming back, and you can see him punching the bad guys and everything. It shakes a little bit, but it's just kind of moving side to side, watching Batman punch somebody and everything. And it's Nolan, I think, did a lot better this time. And like you said, he probably listened to the criticisms and said, okay, let's figure out how to do this better.
Yeah. Even though, because like you said, Batman Begins was his first time filming his action. It was his first time filming action. And even though
Yeah.
personally I didn't have a problem with the action, I know a lot of people did. And, you know, that's where I think he kind of went bigger in terms of how the camera work went. You could tell that he didn't use like as many cuts. When he does cut to another scene, he does it like very smoothly. Like especially in that nighttime scene where, you know, it's him and the Joker in the middle of the streets, like when he's driving the Batmobile and all that.
Oh yeah.
That was like, wow, that's honestly, that was perfect filmmaking right there in terms of the camera movements and some of the shots he would use. It looked awesome to me.
Yeah, and I think that whole sequence is filmed like similar place that the sequence for Batman Begins, the Tumbler chase was, like in that those highway things, like it's called Whacker Drive in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I saw a HBO special for it. A lot of that was really practical, and Nolan is a very in-camera director. Not to downgrade CGI, but I appreciate there's very little CGI, if any.
Yeah.
And like how since Harvey Dent surrenders himself as the Batman, he's obviously being transported to a booking or whatever it is, and it's a really, really awesome scene. Like first, there's no music. There is music, but then it just quiets down, and you see the Joker pop out of that rig that says "Laughter's the best medicine." And he just starts firing at all these weapons, and he brings up a rocket launcher, and he just goes, "What is that, a bazooka?"
That was really good.
Yeah, and then we see the reveal of the Bat Pod, the motorcycle. Awesome.
That was really awesome.
Yeah, I remember like when he crashes it, and you see the wheels just go, and you just go, "What's he doing? Goodbye." And then it pops out, and you just go, "Whoa!"
Honestly, I just got so happy looking at the Bat Pod for the first time.
Exactly. And then there's that scene where it just goes, the truck, when he plants the wires underneath the truck, and it just goes,
oh, that was so good.
Oh yeah, it just goes, "What the heck?"
You could tell even stunt-wise, Christopher Nolan wanted to take the action to the next level.
Exactly. Excuse me. Then you talked about the scene where the Joker's standing in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
That's a great scene right there. He just walks to the Batman and just goes, "Come on, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Come on, hit me, hit me, hit me." And Batman's just going, "Ah!"
That was really great.
And that's another good example of the personal battle between these two, because Batman, like, it's a very psychological struggle with Bruce Wayne in this one, because like I said earlier, with people demanding that he turn himself in, and you see the Joker, like, he knows Batman wouldn't kill anybody, but then he feels maybe the same rule doesn't apply to me because I've done all this stuff. Let's see how he does against me. And Batman's like screaming out in frustration because this guy knows all my weaknesses. I can't do it, and he just slides off to the side.
Yeah.
And like, I like just how, like, when he slides off to the side, the Joker just, like, he's ready for the brunt force of it. But then when he slides, the Joker just kind of goes like this. Like, really? Really? I waited all this time, and this is what you got to offer? Come on, man. And then, this leads into probably the best scene in the movie for me, the interrogation scene. Wow.
Oh man.
Personal back and forth between those two, that is just some of the best, like Chris Stuckman said, some of the best confrontational dialogue ever put to film.
I honestly have to agree, because you could just feel the tension between the two characters, and you just can't help but sweat. Like, honestly, every time I sit through that scene, I'm just sweating because of how intense it is.
Yeah.
And it's even to the point where it's just so good that you just don't know what to say.
Exactly, yeah. You're just sitting there in awe. And one of my favorite parts in that scene is like, "Why do you want to kill me?" He goes, "I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off the mob? No,
yeah.
You complete me." All right, Jerry Maguire. Nice one. And what was it? And
can you excuse me for 1 second?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see. Sorry, guys, just left for a second. But one of the things that really sticks out to me about that scene is, like, yeah, basically what I just said is, like, the personal dichotomy between these two and how they They're polar opposites of each other. Order and chaos. Perfect example of how one of the best examples of this relationship between these two characters, like the hero and the villain. And I apologize, like Tiger Dude had to step away for a second. So, oh, this is a little awkward. Let's see here. The Joker. Yeah, and another thing that I think really, he just breaks down. He knows all the boxes to tick, the Joker, when he says, to them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you now. But when they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. Like he knows, Batman tries all the normal approaches that he would take with any other villain or criminal that he goes up against. And that just... Oh, hello.
Hello.
Like, do you have to leave soon, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave in a few minutes, actually.
Okay, well, I'll keep going on for a little while longer, and like when like a few minutes, you said.
Yeah, well, actually, I have to go ahead and leave right now because we're gonna have to leave in a little bit.
Well, I'll continue on as best as I can, giving my general thoughts on The Dark Knight, and hopefully with as best as I can, give you my general thoughts and so on. But thank you, Tiger Dude, for joining me on this call. I had a really good time discussing this.
Yeah, sorry for cutting this one short, you guys.
Oh no, don't worry about it. It's okay. So thank you for joining me once again, and guys who are watching this, if you haven't already, subscribe to 22 Tiger Dude. He puts out a lot of great content.
Yeah. And overall, just to give you very quick thoughts, overall, I thought The Dark Knight was a great movie. I loved it from beginning to end. It was intense. It had a great story. The action was exhilarating. A great performance by Heath Ledger. And overall, the movie was just very exciting. So thank you so much, Joe, for having me on here. Definitely sorry once again, you guys, for having to leave so short. Just I have to go somewhere, but I'll definitely be on here, and I look forward to talking about The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah, can't wait for that. I got some stuff to say about that one, and as far as the defenses go.
Oh, definitely. So you guys, this is 22 Tiger Dude here with Tiger Power.
Later, man.
Later,
Take care.
Joe.
Have a good time.
You too, man.
Thanks. All right, so yeah, with the interrogation scene, and if for those of you, I got 2 viewers right now. If you are interested, and maybe if one of you wants to join in on the conversation, continue where I left off, and maybe discuss the movie with me, send your invitation if you want. If Callum, if you're still watching this, if you want to maybe talk about The Dark Knight, if not, okay. Rachel, if you want to join in, I know you're not a big fan of this movie, but if you want to give your thoughts, you're more than welcome to. But anyway, with The Dark Knight. It has some of the best, obviously it's probably the best scene in the movie for me, and especially at a certain point you realize that that he's also kidnapped Rachel, and it's when he just goes, there's only a few minutes left, so you're gonna have to play my little game if you want to save one of them. And at first you just go, what does that mean, them? What are you talking about? And he goes, for a while there, I thought you really were, Dent. The way you threw yourself after her. And that's what, and if you remember, Bruce Wayne saves Rachel earlier in the movie in that scene, in the penthouse scene. And it's right there, you just go after her. Oh my God, he's kidnapped Rachel. And he just flips him right over on the table. You just go, oh shit, this is bad. And so therefore, he just kicks the crap out of the Joker. Where are they? And the Joker just laughs in his face, saying, you got nothing to threaten me with, man. Nothing to do with all of your strength. But then he tells him, okay, fine, I'll tell you where they are, but you're going to have to make a choice. He's at 250 52nd Street, and she's on Avenue X at Cicero. But unknowingly, he switched the addresses on Batman. Knowing that he would go after Rachel, he makes him go after Harvey, unknown to Batman. And then later he discovers that Harvey is actually there at the address. And there you just realize, oh, crap, he screwed up. And therefore, Rachel dies. But I do like the conversation that he and Harvey have. Excuse me, that she and Harvey have with each other over the phone, saying that my answer is yes, because, therefore, he asks her if she wants to marry him, but then she hesitates for a second because she's still in love with Bruce. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Okay, and there's also some great moments in that sequence. Like, you're still on the edge because you don't know if Batman's going to be able to stop like Harvey or Rachel from getting killed. And then you got the scene where the Joker just goes, "Do you want to know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions." And then there's also the line where he goes, "I want my phone call. I want it. I want it. I want my phone call." That's nice. Heath Ledger. Dear Lord, man. Let's see. Another question we got from Callum. Callum, if you're still watching this, thank you for sticking around. Always appreciate your thoughts. What are your thoughts on some of the films that this film has influenced? Example, Skyfall, Star Trek Into Darkness, or The Amazing Spider-Man 2? I think you're meaning The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, that has had a pretty big influence on the movies today. It's pretty obvious, like with The Amazing Spider-Man, Skyfall, or Star Trek Into Darkness, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. I'd rather not talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I don't want to go off on a big rant. I want to keep it positive. But yeah, I think it was a pretty dumb mistake, long story short, to go for a dark tone just for the sake of it. Skyfall, I think, from what I remember, it worked in its favor. That's just me, though. Let's see. Star Trek Into Darkness, yeah. I'd have to watch it again just to be sure. And then, anyway, Rachel dies, and then you see a letter that she left with Alfred earlier on. Said, "Give it to him when the time is right." And then during the whole sequence where Batman's just standing at the ruins where Rachel died, and Alfred opens the letter, and you hear a voiceover from Rachel saying, "Dear Bruce, I'm going to marry Harvey," and so on and so forth. "I'm sorry to let you down. Please keep your faith in people. Love now and always, Rachel." And that she decides to, even though she does love Bruce, she decides, "I'm sorry, Bruce, I can't wait for you anymore." And you just go, son of a... I mean, you understand why, but still, it's like, oh, come on. Oh, excuse me for a second. Anyway, sorry about that. I just had to respond to a message. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, yeah. It's a really sad scene, like where you see Bruce Wayne in pain, obviously, over losing Rachel. And he's wondering, did I bring this on myself, Alfred, or did I bring this on her? I was supposed to inspire good, not madness, not death. And they mentioned this earlier. Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Just give me 1 second. And let's see here. Okay. Well, this is a little weird. I apologize for the inconvenience, guys, if anyone's watching this. My guest had to leave early. But, yeah, and then it goes on, and then you got stuff like, where was I going with this? I'm trying to figure out what else I could say about The Dark Knight on my own. I'm not used to doing this. Oh, man. Yeah, and then you see that Coleman Reese, who works for Wayne Enterprises, is going to... Hope my questions helped. Oh, that was from Rachel. Oh, yeah, they definitely helped. see here. Let's see. Yeah, and then Coleman Reese decides to reveal Batman's identity, which I think it's obviously he knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, because digging into certain things in applied sciences, it led him to believe that. And then Mr. Fox says, "Your plan to blackmail this person? Good luck." I'm sorry, guys. I keep getting notifications. Rachel just told me that she watched The Dark Knight Rises for the first time. Liked it. Okay. This is it's really odd. I've never had this happen before. If I was doing a Q&A session, like a Google Hangout Q&A, I probably would have had more to say. But I like how it's handled, where Batman or Bruce Wayne still, like, well, no, how do I say this? Okay, the Joker killed Rachel. Two-Face, Harvey's now scarred on one side of his face, and he burns all the money that the mob gave him, and then he decides to tell the Russian, "Tell your men they work for me now, because this town deserves a better class of criminal. Tell your men they work for me. This is my city. They won't work for a freak. Let's feed you to your pooches and see how loyal a hungry dog really is." And you just go, this guy's an evil bastard, but in a good way, because how Heath Ledger portrays him in that scene. And then he decides to put an ultimatum. He goes, "If Coleman Reese isn't dead in 60 minutes, I blow up a hospital." And I just love that moment where he says that, and you see the look in Coleman Reese's face. You just go, oh, God, you better hope that you don't die in the next hour, man. And then chaos ensues. People start hunting him down to shoot him, and Bruce Wayne decides to get in his Lamborghini and protect Coleman Reese that way, unfortunately at the cost of his nice Porsche. Poor car. And meanwhile, this conversation is going on with the Joker and Harvey, who's all burnt up, and earlier he just got mad at Gordon for being too trusting of his people. And therefore, what's he saying? Oh yeah, it's the part where he just goes, "Hi." Oh God. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. And he goes, "I don't want there to be any hard feelings between us, Harvey. When you and Rachel," you just go, "Okay, chill out." And I like and it also adds into the line where he says everyone loses their minds. He also says they're schemers trying to control their little worlds. I'm not a schemer. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are. It just shows you how his mind ticks, and I really like how that's handled in that movie, and especially in that scene. And the scene in the part where he blows up the hospital. Things start blowing up. He's just cheerfully walking away, and then it stops for a second, and he just goes, "Why isn't this working?" But then it blows up. He's like, "Oh, here we go." And he gets on the school bus and disappears. And then he gets an ultimatum. "If you want out of the city and don't want to be part of my game, get out now. But you're in for a big surprise with the bridge and tunnel people." And chaos has ensued. The National Guard comes in, and Harvey Dent goes on a killing spree as Two-Face, kills the cop that was escorting him to his house, or to Rachel. Then he tracks down Maroni. By the way, he kills the detective. Like, he flips the coin that was scarred in the fire that he was burned up in, lands on the bad side, blows the guy away. And also, what's that? Yeah, and he tracks down Maroney, says, who picked up Rachel? If I tell you, will you let me go? It can't hurt your chances. It was Ramirez. You're a lucky man, but he's not. Who? Your driver. Then he blows the driver away, crashing the car. And all this is going on. People get out on the ferries. One goes out with inmates, the other goes out with innocent civilians. Then the ships stop. The crew go down below deck to take a look. Whole ship's wired with explosives. Excuse me. And you just go, oh boy. And the Joker gets on the speakers in those ships and goes, tonight you're all going to be part of a social experiment. I'm ready to blow you all sky high, but if one of you presses the button on the remote, I'll let that boat live before midnight. Or I'll blow you all up. And of course, then comes that question. Oh God, like, what are they going to do here? And then it comes into the theme that I read on the FAQ, or the frequently answered questions of the Dark Knight. The Joker has this belief that he believes that everybody's secretly just as bad as he is, and if he pushes if he gives them just the right push, they can show their true colors. And while all this is going on, Batman arrives at the scene at the Pruitt building where the Joker's hiding, thanks to Lucius Fox, who, believe it or not, Batman has sonar that he developed in Hong Kong, spying on 30 million people, which obviously Fox is a bit upset about, but anyway. But he helps him anyway. And, let's see here. Excuse me for a second, guys. Just gotta answer this message. Excuse me. Okay, never mind. All right. Batman arrives at the scene, sees all these guys in clown masks with these hostages from the hospital, takes a look, but then takes a look around, and he notices that the guys with the clown masks have got the tape on their wrists, and you just go, uh-oh, what's up here? And the guy he runs over, he pulls his mask off. It's the reporter, Mike Engel, from Gotham Tonight, played by Anthony Michael Hall. You might know from 16 Candles. Da, 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 da. Or The Breakfast Club is the geek. I know, weird. He goes, Fox, the swans are targeting the wrong people. The clowns are the hostages. And you just go, oh, God. You're going to have to fight the cops, man. Stop them. They're coming in. And with the help, and also, Batman's got the sonar vision, like through his mask. The white eyes come. First time Batman's ever had white eyes in live action. Probably the only time. Until Dawn of Justice, that is. With the bat armor. Anyway. And where was I going? Nice little, I think the Arkham games took inspiration from that, if I'm not mistaken. Nice, and that's another thing that Pretty Much It, or Eric from Pretty Much It criticized a little bit, that it was a little too comic booky. I could see his point, I guess, but I never really had a problem with it. It was appropriately hokey, because it's a comic book movie down in its core, and it's in a form of night vision, so I think it would make sense. He's fighting the cops, and all the struggle with the people on the boat and the inmates are going on. The people on the boats, like the civilians, are voting whether or not they should blow up the ship, the other ship, and then the inmates are freaking out. They're saying to Warren, what do we do? We're running out of time. And all this is going on, and I'm just sitting there going like this. And Batman's fighting the cops and saving the hostages and everything. It's pretty insane. That, like, and it gets to the point where he finds himself backed into a corner against the ledge. Police chopper's right behind him. He kicks somebody. Everybody, all the cops fall on a line like, ah! And they're all hanging from the side of the building. You just go, and then he zips up to confront the Joker. And then the cops finally get wind of why Batman was doing what he was doing, because the clowns are the hostages. So they fight it off a little bit. Excuse me. Let's see. Yeah. see. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. And then it gets to, we really should stop this fighting, otherwise we'll miss the fireworks. There won't be any fireworks. And here we go. And then there's a little tension with that one businessman who says, fine, you don't want to get your hands dirty? I'll do it. And then there's that inmate on the other boat goes, you don't want to die, but you don't know how to take a life. Give it to me. And he just throws the remote control out the window, and I have the same look that the warden has on his face. What? I guess he just went, you know, I've done some killing in my life. I'm not doing any more. I don't plan on doing any more tonight. So it's almost, I guess you could say he's kind of figured, like, you know what? I'm not playing the Joker's game. Not tonight. And the guy on the civilian on the boat, he freezes for a second. He goes, I can't do it. He puts it away. Everybody's got this look on their face going, oh, God, we're going to die. We're going to die. But then the minutes go by and you just go, and they just go, we're okay. We're still alive. And even the Joker has a look on his face where he's just going, what's going on? And he sees that it's past midnight, and Batman goes, what were you trying to prove? That deep down everybody's as ugly as you? You're alone. Can't rely on anyone these days. You gotta do everything yourself. Don't we? That's okay. I came prepared. Speaking of which, you know how I got these scars? No. But I know how you got these. And he throws them off the building. Joker's laughing, obviously, because he feels like he finally managed to push Batman to the edge. But then the Batman fires his cable and catches him. And he goes, oh, you just couldn't let me go. This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. And he goes, you won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness. And I won't kill you because you're just too much fun. You and I are destined to do this forever. You'll be in a padded cell forever. Maybe we could share one. And then Batman goes, this city showed you it's full of people ready to believe in good. And the Joker goes, until their spirit breaks completely. Until they get a good look at the real Harvey Dent. And then I love the look that Batman has on his face as the Joker's saying that. She just goes, what? What are you talking about? What did you do? And I took Gotham's White Knight and I brought him down to our level. It wasn't hard. Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. And then Batman realizes, I gotta find Harvey Dent. Takes off, and then the cops show up to arrest the Joker. And, you know, watching it now with Heath Ledger dead, unfortunately, may he rest in peace. Seeing him hang there, laughing, I get chills, knowing that this is the last movie he's ever done. He goes, and it cuts. You just go like this. Poor Heath Ledger. But then we cut to the final part where Gordon, who, while all this was happening, received a call from Harvey Dent, or his wife, that Harvey has kidnapped Gordon's family, which he was able to force Detective Ramirez to lure them out into the open. And let me see. They go to the place where Rachel was being held and where she was killed. Gordon finds his family. Harvey arrives, kicks him to the ground, and they have an argument saying, like, this is where she died, Gordon. I know, I tried to save her, Harvey, but you couldn't. Instead of doing, you stood up against corruption and listened to me, instead of doing your deal with the devil. I was trying to fight the mob. It's like, have you? And then he threatens his son. It's like, now you know how it feels, Gordon. And then you can look me in the eye and tell me that you're sorry. And then the cops show up, and then Batman shows up. And the whole scene where this is going on, where Harvey goes, it's not about what I want. It's about what's fair. You thought we could be decent men in an indecent time. You were wrong. The world's cruel. And the whole dynamic right there when Batman goes, what happened to Rachel wasn't chance. All three of us decided to act. Then why was I the only one who lost everything? It wasn't. Nice little foreshadowing there for Dark Knight Rises. And then it goes on, and he goes, Harvey, you're pointing the gun, pointed at those responsible. Fair enough, you first. Flips a coin for Batman, shoots Batman in the abdomen. Does it for himself, lands on the good side. He goes, tell your son, Gordon, that's going to be okay. Lie like I did. Flips the coin. Batman shows up, knocks Harvey away before. And then there's a big question. Did Batman kill Harvey Dent intentionally? I don't want to get too deep into it because I feel like I'm going to be here too long going point by point. But I don't really see it that way, that he killed him intentionally. I see it more, he felt that maybe Harvey Dent had fallen too far from grace, that he didn't feel like he was worth saving, and he was more focused on saving the boy. I feel like that was what his concern was. If Harvey wanted to save himself, he's more than welcome to. I think that was what it was. They don't really try to explain everything. That's just where I stand. So anyway, Harvey's dead, and therefore they realize that the Joker's won. And Batman comes up with a plan. They can't know what Harvey did. 5 dead, 2 of them cops? No. Gotham needs its true hero. And he turns Harvey Dent on the side where his face isn't burnt. He goes, I can do those things because I'm not a hero. I killed those people. That's what I can be. And I remember watching this at the time, and the first time I saw it, I just went, what? Are you telling me you're going to take the fall for Harvey's crimes? You can't! And I was a bit unsatisfied with that ending of The Dark Knight when I first saw it. But watching it again the second time and watching it a few more times upon retrospect, it makes more sense because they needed to find they needed a final push to sweep all that stuff under the rug, which they hinted that earlier when Harvey interrogates that guy after Gordon supposedly killed and discovers that Rachel's next on the Joker's hit list with that guy Thomas Schiff, who would later make an appearance in Ant-Man. This is the work of gypsies. Oh man, so awesome. And like he saw that he was capable of being violent, and then Batman said, if anybody saw this, everything would be undone. All the crooks that you pull out the streets would have been released, and Jim Gordon would have died for nothing. So, given the circumstances, it makes a lot of sense that Batman becomes a Dark Knight. Which fits the title, The Dark Knight. And therefore, he goes on the run from the police. And then Gordon's kid says, but he didn't do anything wrong. It's like, and I love the whole line, the lines where he goes, he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. He's not our hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. And then, dun, and then it ends. I think it's a perfect ending for that movie. It's a great ending. It's kind of sad, but there's a tint of hope for Batman, that like where he says he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Shows you that it will get better in the future, but right now it's not looking so promising. As for right now. Let's see. Another question. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Oh yeah, I've already answered these questions from I Am Super Batman, 1993. By the way, Callum, if you're still watching this, I don't know if you are, but if you are, thank you for your questions. Always appreciated your feedback. Rachel, if you're watching this, thank you for your questions and your comments. Always glad to hear from you. Once again, guys, I apologize for the abruptness of 22 Tiger Dude leaving. Unfortunately, for time purposes, we had to cut it short. But I was just giving you my general thoughts as I went along as best as I could. Hopefully, I've given you best context as I could, giving you my general thoughts. And by the way, Tiger Dude, if you're watching this, I'll send you a link to Callum's review, in-depth review of The Dark Knight. It's a really great review. Yeah, overall, I think it really is a great movie, The Dark Knight. It's one of the best, probably arguably, in my opinion, the best comic book movie ever made, along with the other two. And I cannot wait to talk to Tony to 20. Ugh, can't talk today. I cannot wait to talk to 22 Tiger Dude again about The Dark Knight Rises. That's going to be a fun one. I got some responses for the criticisms out there, but I'm going to watch The Dark Knight Rises just to be sure. You know, keep it fresh in my mind. So anyway, those of you who are watching this, it's pretty much all I got to say about The Dark Knight. Thank you for those people who sent your comments and questions. Thank you for all your feedback. Always appreciate it. 22 Tiger Dude, if you're still watching this, or if you happen to be watching this at some point after, thank you for joining in, and I can't wait to talk to you about The Dark Knight Rises next time. So, see you later, guys.